Hello and welcome to an instructional edition of Tech Talk with Tony. Today we are going to look at the Dye Moss Air M2. We have developed a special O-ring kit for that marker, just like we did for our Lux platform, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to install it. Now the reason that we went in there and changed these things is to improve reliability, improve the drag coefficients on the bolt kit, and also improve the regulator response time with the O-rings that we change inside the regulators. Let's take a step in the back and I'll show you guys how to install it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Vintage Paintball Laboratory. We're going to install the O-ring kit, the NASA O-ring kit for this gun here. This is what you'll receive in the mail. All the O-rings are separated right here. I'm going to set that off to the side. First things first, we're going to put the O-rings in the bolt kit. Pull your bolt out like that, just by pushing the button, right? Now, if you have issues with that or you're not comfortable taking your bolt out, stop where you are right now and then send the gun to us or bring it to your local pro shop to have these installed. Alright, we're going to take the gun and set it aside. We're going to disassemble the bolt kit here. Start at the back. I'm going to remove this front O-ring here so we can take the can off of the bolt. We're going to set this one aside because we don't need it anymore. And there you have it. We have our bolt cap, our top hat, our bolt can, and then our bolt. We're going to set these guys aside. We're going to start with the bolt. Now we're going to take the O-ring kit that you got in the mail, and we're going to pull the O-rings that are required for the bolt. We have the two stems and then the sail O-ring that we're going to replace, the two orange ones and the red one. Now you can see I have the O-rings for the bolt set over to the side here. We're going to go ahead and remove these ones, and then we're going to install these right here. First we're going to start with the sail O-ring. Now we're going to move down to the stem O-rings and we're going to replace those. Now, the bolt still has one O-ring that we're going to install from the kit, but we're going to do that after we have the whole bolt kit reassembled because it's going to go on the tip right here. So we're going to take that and set it aside, as well as these O-rings. We're going to save those in case we need them later. And then we're going to move on to the bolt can. This one we're only changing one O-ring on it, and we're going to need the pick for it. It's important to remember that you're careful to not scratch the inside of that gland when you go to remove it. So be very gentle and take your time. We're going to grab our O-ring kit again. We're going to grab the number 17. That's going to replace our orange number 17. Slides right in there. Now we're going to set this O-ring to the side and we're going to move on to the top hat. Now you guys can probably imagine that this is called the top hat because it looks like a top hat. This one we're going to replace two O-rings in it. We're going to change out this O-ring, this orange one right here with the number 17, just like we did in the last part. And then we're going to change out this number 14 O-ring with the U-cup. So we're going to pay special attention to this guy when we go to install this, okay? Right now I'm going to go ahead and remove these two O-rings carefully, making sure not to scratch the inside of the O-ring gland, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this guy after I install this O-ring because that one's super easy to do. Alright. We're going to grab our O-ring kit. We're going to take our final number 17 and we're going to install that on the inside of our top hat. Now, this is the most important part of the installation. This is the only part that you can put in backwards or that you could possibly screw up with the bolt kit installation of these O-rings. We're going to take our O-ring kit and we're going to find the U-cup O-ring. That's this guy right here. You can see how different it looks from the other ones. Now there is a front ways and a back ways, and it's important that you install it just right, because if you don't, you're going to run into leaking issues. Alright, so this is the important part. Hopefully you guys can see this. But there's an actual cup here. You can see where my pointer's going, down inside of the O-ring. If we flip it over, it's completely flat on that side. This is a directional ring. See that? Now, because it's directional ring, it's only going to seal going in one direction, which reduces our drag coefficient on our bolt kit quite a bit. That's why we use this guy. Now, we want it to hold the air from going down the bolt kit. So we want to make sure that we have the U facing up, so towards you guys. You guys can see this, all right? Now we got our top hat, and we're setting it up like this. And we got that guy set up just like we were talking about, with the U facing up towards the camera, up towards you guys, right? Now this is going to go in here just like that, if you guys can see that. We're not flipping it over, we're not doing anything weird. The U is going to face this way, and the air is trying to go up that way. So when the air pressure is there, it's going to open that U cup up and keep it from, and make everything seal up good. All right? One thing that you're going to have to do, or that I like to do with these, is throw a little bit of lube in the gland, just to make sure that there's no weird leaking that happens right off the bat, because these O-rings will have to seat, and once they're seated, they will last an incredibly long time without any kind of issue or having to replace them, just by the nature of the way that they work. So you can see here I have my finger up inside of the top hat. I'm going to use my finger to guide this guy into its gland. All right, again, the U is facing up towards you guys, or the cup is facing up towards you guys. You can kind of see here how I'm like working around nice and easy. Not forcing it. Which can be a little tricky. Now, you guys can see, I got it in there, but it looks all sorts of weird. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to seating the O-ring, okay? So you see how it looks all sorts of weird down in there? We're going to want to make sure we take the nice side of our pick, not to scratch anything, and we're going to rub the inside of the O-ring, because you're going to see how much nicer it starts to look in there, and you're going to be able to feel it as well. Okay? So that's the hardest part of this install, is this guy right here. Once you have that taken care of, we're on easy street, okay? So I'm going to set this to the side, along with the O-rings, and we're going to reassemble our bolt kit after we lubricate it. We got our bolt. Bolt can. Like to make sure everything's sealing good and making sure there's no drag sounds or anything weird going on. We got our top hat. And finally our bolt cap. Now, like I said, we'd come back to this front O-ring right here. We're going to replace that with a soft number 14 instead of the hard number 17 that's on there. That guy's our O-ring that we need. We're simply going to take her and we're going to slide her on there. Nice and easy. Now that that's all taken care of, we're going to go ahead and throw our bolts back into our marker. Nice and easy, not wrecking nothing. Just like that. We're going to remove our barrel. Now we're going to move on to the LPR and HPR O-ring installation. First here, we're going to remove this front rubber grip. Now here you'll see we have our HPR right here, and then we have our LPR right there. These are both very well designed, and they're what's called cartridge style regulators, so when we take it apart it's going to be really easy to take and deal with here. I'm going to disassemble the HPR first, then you guys will see like the shim stack and stuff, and we'll just quickly touch on that so you guys know how to put that back together should you need to. The only reason I took the shim stacks out like this was so I can show you guys how to restack these so there's no confusion at all with that. We're going to go ahead and remove the piston down inside of there. It's very important that you're extremely careful with that inner lip edge on your piston here. I use a rounded needle nose pliers, and I'm still very gentle with it as it comes out very easily as long as you're pulling on it the correct way. Alright, you can see that there's a ton of extra lube on there, so we're going to wipe off the extra lubricant because we don't want that in there. Okay, now we have our piston. We have our two O-rings on the piston. These are both number 15s, and we have replacements for them in our kit. Set those guys right there. We're going to grab our kit, pull at our two number 15s. Make sure they're not rounded up or curled up or anything on there. Now we're going to put our shim stack back together and stack it up on here, okay guys? It's really easy. But for some reason, most people don't know how these work. They're concave on one side and convex on the other side. When you stack them opposite to each other, they make like a disc saucer shape, like a flying UFO saucer, right? If we stack them parallel to each other, you can see one side's concave and the other side's convex, right? With this, we want to start with one. Basically, it makes a dish like this, and it makes a... You guys should be able to see that right there. Okay, and if you have this issue, and you're watching this video and you're putting this together at the same time, this will make a ton of sense, right? So we're going to call this up and this down, right? So if it's facing up, we got the concave side facing up, and if it's facing this way, the concave side is facing down. So this is down, this is up, okay? The first one you're going to put on there is going to face down, right? Now the next one we put on there is going to face up, because that's the starting. This is our start point on the base, and then this is our first disc that we're going to make here. So you guys can see right away how obvious that looks, okay? And you just keep stacking them opposite. And then our last one is our cap, and that one's going to be by himself without a mate, and that's how your shim stack should look right there. That's how all shim stacks should look in every paintball gun, because that's how they work. Alright, we're going to grab our lube. We're going to throw some lubricant on our piston. We're going to throw it back in the gun. We're going to reinstall our cartridge, and that portion is going to be complete then. You want to be very careful when you're installing these, not just to ram them in there, because you'll end up cutting O-rings. You want to twist it and push it at the same time, and everything will go together nice and easy. Just hand tight, nothing gnarly or crazy on her. Now that we have our HPR O-rings installed, we're going to move up to our LPR. Very, very similar to the HPR in the way that it comes apart, just miniature size. Again, you're going to want to pull her out nice and easy, not making sure not to ruin anything. So that's your LPR cartridge, okay? This is your LPR piston. We're gonna get this guy out of your cartridge so we can replace the O-ring on your piston. This can be a little bit tricky, but I'll show you guys how it's done here. So what I did is I took my Allen key, I put it into the center of that hole right there, being careful not to smash or mush anything out down at the base because there's rubber seals that are down there. And you wiggle it around a little bit, and then you're able to get your O-ring past the cartridge right here. And then she'll slide apart nice and easy. You'll see our old shim stack friends, but in a miniature style. And you'll also see that there's a bunch of extra lube in there and extra larger shims. We're going to make sure those shims are in there correctly, and we're going to take them out. We're going to wipe out all that extra lube because it doesn't need to be there. Stack our shims up properly. Put it back on there. Now we're going to take off our O-ring from our piston here without taking our shim stack off. Go back to our O-ring kit, and we're going to grab our final O-ring. I'm going to throw a little bit of lube on her. Make sure you get some lube on the stem here, just a little bit. Now we're going to take your valve cartridge and we're going to very carefully and gently slide over the top, making sure that we're not forcing anything, because once we get it where it needs to go, it'll go nice and easy. Throw a touch of lube on these O-rings to help get them back in there. As you push it in, twist it. Just go hand tight. And now we have your LPR and your HPR O-rings installed from the NASA kit. We're going to throw the foregrip back on the gun, and we're going to move on to tuning the marker. Now that we have all the O-rings installed, we're going to go through and show you guys how to tune it so it works the best it can with the new O-rings that we've just put in the marker. First, you're going to start off by setting your dwell to 25 milliseconds. This gun is already set to 25 milliseconds, so we're going to skip that step. We're going to turn the marker on. First thing we're going to do is check for any air leaks. Alright, so you've installed all the O-rings correctly, you've engaged the gas under your gun, and there are no leaks that we can hear. First thing we're going to do to make sure everything's functioning properly is we're going to turn the eyes off, and we are going to dry fire the marker. It's important to remember, with these guns in particular, you always have to have a barrel back on to protect your eye pipe. So right off the bat, you can see that it's up and working perfect already. All right, now we're going to go through and we're going to set the pressures on here. Stock settings for this O-ring kit is 55 psi on the LPR and 140 psi on the HPR. We set the HPR first, and then we move over to the LPR. You can see right now we're at 47. We're just going to bump her up a little bit here. You need to fire these guns while you change the pressure in order to get a proper reading. Can be a little tricky to get it right on 55 psi, and you don't need to get it right on 55, you just need to be close. I prefer to be on the higher side of it. Now that we got this marker set to 55 psi and we have the HPR at 140 psi, you're going to be able to take it to the chronograph and adjust for velocity with your HPR and leave your LPR alone. Okay, now that you guys have seen how to install those O-rings, hopefully you feel comfortable tackling this kind of project on your own. If you have any questions or need any help, give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd be happy to hear from you guys. So if you guys haven't ordered your O-ring kit yet to make your M2 shoot awesome, you can go ahead and find the link to our web store right down at the bottom of the description for this video. And you'll also find all of our sweet vintage swag, like this tech mat and the shirts that you see us wearing in the videos that we do. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you're always up to date with the latest news coming from Vintage. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.